Hello and welcome back to Off the Post. In today's episode, I'll be discussing Manchester United being Aston Villa 2-0 to end the Champions League hopes for next season. But before that, as always, like, comment, subscribe is very much appreciated. And, I really just want to say a massive thank you for our recent support on our videos. You know what, we're building a very nice small community of, fans and supporters at the moment. So I do really appreciate it. All the support on social media, all the support on YouTube has been amazing. I feel like I say this every single time, but I've got to do it because, I can't believe the amount of subscribers, the likes and the comments that I've received so far in the early days of my YouTube channel. So thank you once again. But where do we even start to begin talking about this game for Aston Villa, okay? It is a very, very disappointing result for Aston Villa because this game had so much jeopardy on the line for this, for Aston Villa's chances next season, going into the next season, and in terms of their playing positions for what competitions they're going to be in, their squad structure for next season. And overall, I feel like the game for Aston Villa was just very, very poor in general. You know what I mean? Manchester United were far and away the best team in that game, and they did deserve the 2-0 victory, and they did deserve all 3 points. But I think one thing that was basically cost Aston Villa the game was the VAR controversy, okay, with that, Morgan Rogers' goal. For me, I don't know how that goal got disallowed because the goalkeeper didn't have his hands on the ball, okay. He was sort of panicking a little bit and he didn't get his hands on the ball in time. So Morgan Rogers sort of just kicked it out, he just made contact, perfect contact with the ball, kicked it out of his hands, or kicked it out of his hands before he actually had it in his hands. I don't know if that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but you know what I mean. Like Morgan Rogers, it was fine. It was clean. It didn't hurt the goalkeeper at all or anything like that. And he just put the ball in the back of the net. The whole decision just didn't make any sense. But for me, I feel like some fans might be saying it's karma for the Sheffield United goal a few seasons ago. Okay, the ghost goal. If some people might remember that. So a few seasons ago, obviously, I feel like Aston Villa were, fighting against relegation, and of course, and the Sheffield United scored a goal, and then got ruled out. I'm pretty sure it was was it Neuland in goal? Neuland. I can't remember his name. The Norwegian goalkeeper for Aston Villa, but it's a bit weird one, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I feel like yes, okay, Aston Villa didn't get the goal. It was rightly or wrongly ruled out. Obviously everybody's gonna have their own opinion on it. For me, it shouldn't have been disallowed. I feel like it should have stood. But even still, whatever the result, okay, Aston Villa still had 18 minutes plus stoppage time to get the 3 points. But I think after that VAR controversy, everybody sort of just lost their heads. And what can you say? Aston Villa sort of just folded. It was very unfortunate. I think that was probably one of the main issues of this game. And the second one, right, even before this, right, okay, was Emi Martínez getting sent off. I should probably mention that one first. But, he got sent off, and that was a clear red card for me. Because obviously Manchester United broke the lines really well, sent a nice through ball into Rasmus Højlund, and he was through on goal. But his touch, right, he was parrying the ball away from goal, I'm pretty sure. And Emi Martínez made it very clear that he was not going to go for the ball. He was never going to make contact with the ball. So for whatever reason, I don't know why, he sort of just shoulder barged into Rasmus Højlund. Okay, yes, the ball was going away from him, but he should have never have done that because you still had 2 or 3 defenders running back for Aston Villa who could have potentially saved him. You know what I mean? Could have got his goalkeeper out of danger. But I feel like it's really, really silly by Emi Martínez because that actually might be his last ever game for Aston Villa. We don't know. Obviously, a journalist asked Unai Emery in a press conference, you know what I mean? Is this going to be Emi Martínez's last game? And he was like, no way, no way. So who knows? Unai Emery didn't really answer the question properly, and it was a little bit on edge around that question. He sort of ended the interview straight away. I'm pretty sure he just walked out. So that might be his time up for Aston Villa, Emi Martínez, because don't get me wrong, he speaks about loving the club, loving the fans. He's been here for like 3 to 5 years now, and he's always speaking about trying to win Aston Villa a good trophy, either in the Premier League or in the competitions or whatever it is, And I feel like he will have a lot of love for Aston Villa because it's the club that he sort of came into his own at Aston Villa. You know what I mean? He sort of made his career at Aston Villa. You know, obviously, you know, becoming a Premier League regular. You know, playing so well for Aston Villa that he's been called up to Argentina, winning all these World Cups and Copa Americas with Argentina, and you know, becoming the world's #1 as well. So Emi Martínez will have so much love for Aston Villa, and Aston Villa will probably be in his heart, of course. But for me, that sort of decision to sort of run into Erasmus Højlund at the like, what was it, like 45th minute maybe? I'm not too sure. Was it over that or the second half? I can't remember. But for me, to do that was so stupid, and that actually might be his last game now. We don't know that, but because Aston Villa didn't get Champions League football, it's a massive factor that for PSR reasons. I feel like Aston Villa are going to have to sell 1 or 2 big players now, whether that's Ollie Watkins, Emi Martínez, Jacob Ramsey, maybe one of the defenders, I don't know. It's more than likely that we're going to see 2 or 3 big players leave in the summer, and it's going to be a very disappointing time for Aston Villa now in the summer. But I feel like they're going to be alright. They're going to try and rebuild the best they can. But what else can we say? You know, the repercussions of losing this game was so high. No Champions League football. We're gonna have to sell our best players. It's a really tricky one because Aston Villa were only 1 point away, and when you think about the other results, okay, Newcastle lost. Everton did Aston Villa a fantastic favour. Everton beat Newcastle 1-0, and from that perspective, it's happy days. Obviously, Chelsea beat Nottingham Forest as well, so sort of did us a favour in, you know, not having to fight with Nottingham Forest. And if you think about Nottingham Forest, their sort of downfall in recent weeks has been so significant to their season because they've been one of the best teams this season, Nottingham Forest, I'm not going to lie. How they sort of just let the pressure get the better of them? They seriously have. But the same can be said about Aston Villa as well, because when you think about the big moments in their season, the semi-finals against Crystal Palace in the FA Cup, with, you know, Aston Villa sort of just let the pressure of the big occasion probably get the better of them. You know, the Champions League quarterfinals against PSG, okay, obviously, I think you can give a little bit of a leeway because it is PSG. It's their first season in the Champions League, coming up against high-level, world-class talent of players. And, you know, Aston Villa did pretty well to sort of challenge them in the second game. But for me, even I think it was pretty much game over in that first game. I don't think they was going to ever come back in that second game, even though they did good for a good 15-20 minute spell like that at that time. I feel like this season, when it comes down to those pressure situations, they've just not done well to sort of manage it, Aston Villa. Hopefully that's something Aston Villa and Unai Emery can do better next season, and, you know, hopefully we can get something over the line, whether that's, you know, a cup competition in the bag, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to give you an early prediction now. Okay, obviously Aston Villa and Crystal Palace are in the Europa League, so can we see a Europa League final between Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace to have a rematch for that semi-finals FA Cup run we had a few weeks ago? Because honestly, it's been a season of underdogs. I've said it a few times now, but obviously Newcastle winning the Carabao Cup, Crystal Palace winning the FA Cup, Tottenham winning the Europa League as well. Absolutely amazing for football because it's been a massive switch up, and that's what you like to see, of course. You know, these teams are actually challenging with the traditional top 6 now, and it is really good to see. But with the likes of, you know, Liverpool linked with the likes of Frimpong and all these fantastic players, Man City are going to rebuild for next season as well. Arsenal linked to a big boy striker and maybe a left winger, we don't know. But with all these rumours, I do think they're going to bolster their squads for next season. So is it going to be like a reverse, and is it going to go back to like the old format from last year where it is the main 6 just competing it out? Or are we going to have the teams like, you know, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, are they going to continue to challenge for those top 6 positions? And I'm not too sure. It's a tricky one to call because with PSR regulations, I really do feel like it's going to make it even trickier for like the likes of Aston Villa, especially. Now they're going to have to sell some of their best players. But will Newcastle have to do the same? Nottingham Forest will have to sell some of their players. Will Crystal Palace have to sell some of their players because of PSR reasons? I feel like PSR regulations have only come in the last 2 or 3 seasons now that these teams are actually competing with the big boys. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that's true or not. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's coming into the spotlight a little bit more because Aston Villa are right up there in the league, and you know it's a team that I like a lot. So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one. But as always, you know, I feel like it's a really annoying game just because performance-wise, Aston Villa were so poor. Okay, like I said at the start of the video, Manchester United deserved the victory. They deserved all 3 points. They had so many shots on goal in the first half, in the second half. So from that perspective, performance-wise, Aston Villa can't moan. Yes, there was probably 2 main decisions in this game that went, which didn't go their way with the Martínez red card. It was definitely a red card. It was his own fault. It was so stupid. He shouldn't have done that at all. I'm not moaning about that because that was 100% his own fault. But the second reason is that VAR decision. That it was so controversial, and everybody's gonna have their own opinion on it. I do understand, but for me, it was never ever a disallowed goal. It should have been Aston Villa should have went 1-0 up, and I don't understand because for me, right, Morgan Rogers, he made contact with the ball before the goalkeeper got the ball into his hands, before the goalkeeper get the ball into his hands. So from that point of view, it made no sense. The goalkeeper was sort of scrambling with the ball, okay? He didn't grab onto the ball in time. So from that point of view, it didn't make sense. But at the end of the day, I think Aston Villa can only blame themselves because, you know, they've came so far, right, okay? They've gone on a massive, fantastic run of late, okay? Where they've had to win, like, I don't know, 7 out of 8 games or something like that. Or maybe even more, I'm not too sure. But if you think about it, they've came so far to get Champions League football, and they've done so well to sort of compete with the likes of Newcastle and Chelsea, who were a little bit in front of them. But yeah, on the final day, it was just very disappointing because the repercussions now, having to sell their best players. In a couple of weeks' time now, I feel like I'm going to be doing some like transfer rumour videos where we look at some, you know, transfer rumours, who's going to leave the club, who's going to join the clubs and whatnot. So let me know if you guys want to see that in the comments. But I feel like this is where we're going to end the video with asking some questions, okay? You know, was it Aston Villa's fault that they lost the game? Did VAR cost Aston Villa Champions League football? Should the goal have standed? I'm not too sure. What's Manchester United going to be next season? Do you reckon they're going to be competing for top 6? Do you think, you know, Ruben Amorim will have a transfer window? Do you think he's going to do good next season? How long do you think he'll stay in the job if he is not going to have a good season? We don't know. But yeah, as always, like, comment, subscribe. It's very much appreciated. The small community of people we're getting on my YouTube channel at the moment is fantastic. I can't thank you guys enough. Obviously, the support on YouTube, social media has blown me away so far, and just keep it up. I really do appreciate it. It means the world to me so far, honestly, in my early days on YouTube. So thank you very much, and I'll see you again in the next video. Peace out.